Now, their slogan may be united by music, but this year's Eurovision was anything but. A scandal and chaos engulfed the competition.
Now, in the end, it was Switzerland's act, Nemo. I watched it, actually. I mean, I was lying in my bed sort of half in, half out, because I knew I had to get up early. But Nemo, everyone was expecting him. He walked away with the trophy, the country's first win since 1981, when Celine Dion won. Celine Dion? I didn't know
she was Swiss. Apparently she's not. She just adopted the country, which is quite convenient for the Swiss. She's got a great voice. Anyway, but all eyes were on Israel, on Eden Golan, who placed 6th in the end. Her act was booed by fans in the arena, scoring a 323 points, however, from the public vote, with a full 12 points coming from UK viewers.
Yeah, I voted for her. And, of course, the UK's Olly Alexander ended up finishing the night at the bottom of the ladder, 18th place. I mean, it was awful, I've got to be honest. His voice, his vocals, something either had gone wrong, but actually, to be honest, there was a little clip of him on social media, and it sounded just as bad. Yeah.
He got 0 points.
No points from the public.
We're now joined by GB News reporter Charlie Peters, who is in Malmo, the scene of the crime, as it were. Charlie, huge protests outside, but the show went on inside the arena.
That's right, Martin, and I think the European Broadcasting Union, the EBU, the organisers of the event, in a way will be pleased that it was Switzerland that came out on top last night, the neutral country in a debate and a contest that has been marked by political controversy and, of course, significant discussion around the involvement of the Israeli contender Eden Golan. She placed 5th in the end, securing very high numbers in the public vote around Europe, but it was the Swiss act, as you said, that came out on top with a significant jury vote. The Croatian contestant, Lasagna Baby, who was the bookies' favourites to win, the odds-on favourite by quite a considerable margin, coming 2nd, but they also topped the public vote, the jury's not backing them up in the end. But while the contest went on, it wasn't devoid of more of that political discussion that we saw throughout the week ahead of the grand final. Some of the contestants used their performances as an opportunity to make brief political or stark comments in contrast to what they were intending to deliver. It wasn't just the singing or the performance that they went on to discuss. And of course, before the actual final went ahead, it was chaos in Eurovision, with the Finnish and the Norwegian jury announcers removing themselves from the competition in quite stark fashion, saying that they couldn't involve themselves with the competition. One of them saying it didn't feel right, in what is assumed to be a dig towards the Israeli camp. And we also saw the Dutch contestant disqualified just 8 hours before the final began, which was completely unexpected and unprecedented in the history of the competition. While all that went ahead last night, as the grand final kicked off, we were outside the arena where significant protests and scuffles between members of the pro-Palestinian demonstrations that have been here all week started to erupt with the police force there. Both Swedish and Danish police were in place, with Denmark just on the border here on the south of Sweden, with Copenhagen nearby. They came across the bridge to support their Swedish colleagues in what was a significant security and policing operation. We saw counter-terrorism officers, riot vans, helicopters buzzing overhead throughout, and also armed officers on the roofs keeping an eye on proceedings from above. And throughout that demonstration, we saw earlier in the day a peaceful march from the centre of the city to the west, but it was the actions later on in the evening which became slightly more sour, with some scuffles and many arrests between the police and those protesters.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. That's Charlie Peters. He's there in Sweden. Interesting, isn't it? But I've got to say, there are people who are saying that perhaps he's been sabotaged, Olly Alexander, because he was out of tune, and where his performance was. I don't mean to be horrible to Olly, because this is just simply the fact that I was listening, and this is actually a song contest, not a performance about jumping in a toilet with lots of men, which is what it was. The performance instruments and dangling upside down. I mean, he'd forgotten about his vocals, frankly.
Well, I saw that comment piece that you wrote in the Mail, and I think you nailed it. You know, it basically became a vanity project. His voice was all off. It was very lewd. It was very over the top. And the vote that matters the most to me is the public vote.
Yeah.
Nul point. You know, nobody voted for it. I think the public spoke. You got it right, and they echo your sentiment, Nana.